Salutations, crustaceans. I'm Lobster, and today we are reviewing the Harley Benton MM-85A. Let's do this. So behind this cat is Harley Benton's answer to the Sterling by Music Man Stingray Ray 4 SUB, the double humbucker model. Featuring a basswood body with a flamed maple top and 24 frets on this 34-inch scale maple fretboard. That's right, unlike the regular Stingrays, this thing has 24 frets. And in order to fit that 24 fret neck, they've kind of shifted things around a bit, and it's not the most aesthetically pleasing thing, especially if you're used to looking at a regular double humbucker Stingray. Normally you have the bridge a lot farther down on the body, and the pickguard is usually a lot bigger on a real Stingray, and this is not that, and they're making it very apparent, probably to avoid a lawsuit or something. The bridge is the typical Stingray knockoff bridge, the same style that you can get on eBay in plentiful amounts for 4 and 5 strings. It's the same type of bridge that they use on the passive models as well, and we'll be looking at one of those very soon. But let's get to the good part, the electronics here. So just like the Stingray double humbucker, this is rocking double humbuckers. Those are paired to a 5-way switch and a 3-band preamp. Now, what does this cost? What does all this cost? $200. Yeah, plus shipping and taxes and all that good stuff. But $200 on Thomann, you can purchase one of these, and we're gonna find out today if it's actually worth it. Now, we took a look at the Harley Benton Enhanced P thing with the Music Man pickup, and we're really disappointed by the electronics on that bass. Will this suffer the same fate? Let's find out. You guys know what you need to do. Go ahead and pinch that like button so my hand will turn back to normal. Thanks. So that was with the pickup selector switch in the middle, giving you both humbuckers on full and the preamp centered. Now, one thing I have to point out is there is a lot of neck dive here. The hardware that they're using is definitely on the heavier side. This is a solid maple neck and a basswood body with not a lot going on, and everything is kind of pushed up towards the neck pocket. This is also a very long neck, where a Stingray is normally, what, 21 frets, 22 frets on the special. So this is definitely not as balanced as the 4-string model of the single humbucker variety. We did review one of those if you want to check out that video, where I praised it for being 120 bucks and a great sounding and playing instrument, at least the one that I got. This one plays very nicely, much neck heavier. Things are a bit weirder. We're going to go over this 5-way switch first, speaking of the weirdness. So let's go all the way to the neck pickup, which is position 1. Yeah, that's that's kind of a lot. That's quite boomy. Next, in position 2, we got a little bit of hum because we have both pickups running in single coil mode. I don't believe they're hum canceling each other out for some reason. I don't know how it's wired up in here. I didn't really look. But you have the rear bank of magnets on the pickup activated right now. Here's what that sounds like. Next is position 3, what you heard earlier, which is both humbuckers on full. And then position 4, oddly enough, is just the rear bank of magnets on the bridge pickup. Here's what that sounds like. And then finally, position 5, which is just the rear humbucker in its entirety. Here's that. Out of all the tones there, I find the bridge pickup to be the most satisfying to me. I guess it's very Stingray-esque, and you're paying a very, very small fraction of the price, so not too shabby so far. Let's go ahead and check out this preamp now. I'm going to keep the selector switch in position 5, so we're only going to be looking at the bridge pickup for now, and then I'll mess around with it a bit later. So here is the preamp centered one more time, position 5 on the selector switch. Again, not a bad tone, especially for a $200 instrument. So if you're just starting out and want something a bit fancier than a single pickup P bass, and you got 200 bucks plus shipping and handling and taxes and yada yada, this isn't too bad. Now, one thing I want to mention in any sort of 5-string Stingray situation is that there are differing pickup sizes and shapes depending on both your string spacing as well as the model that you have, where US Stingray 5s use a rectangular pickup and don't have the little nubbins that you see here. So if you're looking to buy this bass as an upgrade platform, make sure you're looking at the appropriately shaped pickups. Okay, now let's go ahead and cut the preamp entirely. Not too bad, not too bad. Now let's start off by bringing the bass up to center and keeping the treble and mids cut. Now let's boost the bass to about 50%. Not bad, not bad. Now let's go ahead and cut the bass and bring the mids up to center, keeping the bass and treble cut. Ooh, that's where the real Stingray growl grit lies within this instrument. That's not too bad, not too bad at all. One thing I want to point out is, yeah, this has a 24 fret neck. Frets 22 to 24 aren't the most accessible, but you have it, which is kind of silly. Now let's boost the mids to about 50%. This is a fun bass. This is a pretty well built instrument. Now let's cut the mids and just bring the treble up to center so the bass and mids are cut. Not bad at all. Let's boost that up to about 50% now. Okay, so this preamp isn't the worst Harley Benton preamp I've used, so pretty good thus far. We're going to go ahead and give it a few of my favorite configurations. First, we're going to keep the mids cut and keep the treble boosted to 50% and bring the bass up to 50% as well. I'm going to go backwards through the selector switch starting at position 5. Let's do it. Now let's do that all again, but this time we will have the bass and treble centered and the mids boosted to about 50%. Now let's talk about the playability of this instrument. This is actually a pretty good sized neck for a 5-string. The nut isn't the widest nut at around 45 millimeters, but that's still pretty wide. In fact, 2 millimeters wider than the Yamaha BB-735A that we looked at a little while ago. The bridge is 16.5 millimeter spacing, which is a bit tight. That is what the SUBs have. However, the Ray 34 and maybe the Ray 24 have the wider 17.5 millimeter spacing. So that's something to consider. However, this is substantially less than both of those at $200. And you can always mod this with a different bridge, different pickups, or whatever you want. And you're not going to be losing out on much if you totally mess it up and destroy it. So relatively speaking, this is a pretty good mod platform if you're looking at the spectrum of Stingray and Stingray-esque instruments. So as I mentioned, even though the string spacing isn't that wide, the neck profile is on the chunkier side, I would say. So keep that in mind if you're looking for a slimmer necked bass. This is probably not one for you. Now I'm going to go ahead and center the preamp and let's see how she slaps. Let's start out in position 5, Stingray mode. Ooh, this neck pickup, no, this really gets in the way of slapping for me. I don't mind the neck pickup on Pinky, my Stingray BFR double humbucker, but the neck pickup is actually further back from the heel of the neck. And it also only has 22 frets as opposed to 24. So the dimensions are a bit different, and the hardware is definitely moved towards the back of the body down here, or the butt, if you will. So due to the different proportions, this is a terrible slapper, especially if you slap in a traditional style like me. It is tradition! So I'm gonna do my best here, but this neck pickup is very much in the way, also because of the 24 fret neck. It's smashed right against the neck pocket, and you have no room to really get your finger in there, so that's what she said. Anyway, let's get slapping. Yeah, actually, I don't really want to slap this thing anymore. It's very uncomfortable to slap. I am not enjoying this as a slapper. As a fingerstyle player, this is a pretty good budget instrument. It doesn't really balance that great, but you do have a wide variety of tones to choose from this 5-way selector switch. And if you wanted to start getting your hands dirty in wiring and messing with the different combinations that you have available, you can definitely do that on something like this. In the back, you actually do have a large control cavity with a separate battery compartment. Oh, and that 6-bolt neck heel, which is a very nice touch. I didn't mention that earlier, but yeah, that's important stuff. So you do have a lot of room if you wanted to go with aftermarket electronics in this bass. And finally, let's go ahead and put some drums behind this bass. I'm going to start with the selector switch in position 5 and the preamp centered, and I will move the selector switch all the way to position 1 gradually, and you'll see. So here are my final thoughts on the Harley Benton MM-85A. This is a decent mod platform. The stock electronics are okay, they're serviceable, especially for a $200 instrument. You're getting active electronics, dual humbuckers, 5 strings, a solid neck. I mean, this is not a bad package. However, if you're expecting something more polished like what you would find from Sterling by Music Man, which is, I guess, almost twice the price for a similar model at around $400, you're going to be disappointed because this is definitely not on the same caliber. However, this is a fun bass for what it is. And if you're looking to dabble with 5 strings and have something that's a lot more than just a jazz bass or a P bass, why not check something like this out? You can purchase these brand new, again, for $200 from Thomann. I'm in no way affiliated with Thomann, or I don't get paid, I don't have any affiliate links with them, but I definitely can recommend these Harley Bentons as a budget line, and there are cats swarming me. There's plenty of room for mods, and I know that there's a lot of relatively inexpensive preamp and pickup upgrades that you could throw in this thing. Obviously, you would be putting more money into a bass than it would actually cost, but you can always reverse those mods as well if you hold on to your stock electronics. Just as long as you don't reroute the body for other pickups and whatnot. But at the end of the day, this is a $200 instrument that is exceptional in some ways, but also quite flawed in others. Again, the lack of slappability because of this whole mess right over here is very disappointing. But from a fingerstyle perspective, or I'm guessing maybe a pick player, I didn't really want to play a pick with this bass, but perhaps a pick player, and I know fingerstyle, you will have a much better experience with this instrument if you're not much of a slapper. So what am I going to rate the Harley Benton MM-85A? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and rate this bass 3 claws out of 5. I wish there was more documentation on the website in regards to what this 5-way selector switch does, because you really don't know. And some may be under the assumption that it does the same thing as a Stingray double humbucker, where you get the inner coils of each pickup and the outer coils of each pickup on positions 2 and 4, but that is not the case here. The setup here is quite a bit different, and you can make it that way if you so choose, and you're going to have to wire it yourself though, so definitely keep that in mind. Honestly, if I was cross-shopping between this bass, not the cat, and the Sterling by Music Man sub Ray 5 double humbucker, I would probably save up for that Ray 5. We reviewed one in 2020, and I was very impressed with the quality, playability, and tones of that bass. It uses the same preamp as all the other subs. It's a average preamp, but you did have a great many different pickup options, and they were all dead quiet, whereas this one you definitely get some noise on those single coil options. I don't think that they're pairing up the pickups correctly there, and that definitely might detract from the experience for some people. Other than that, I thought the Sterling Ray 5 double humbucker was a more balanced instrument because everything was where it's supposed to be on a Stingray, so there's that as well. I would probably, again, get the Sterling over this, but if you're on a budget or just want something to mess around with and don't want to drop the full $400 for the Sterling by Music Man, why not? On paper, the double humbucker model looks to be a better proposition. You have 24 frets, 2 humbuckers, a 3-band preamp, and a 5-way selector switch, just like the Music Man. Music Man's? Whatever. However, with all these features, this bass starts to kind of stray from its Stingray-ish roots. As you can see, these two basses actually share the same body, but the positioning of the hardware is very different. The single humbucker model has its bridge all the way towards the end of the body, just like a real Stingray, and you have the proper pickup placement as well. For the double humbucker model, the bridge is moved up quite a bit in order to accommodate the 24 fret neck on the same body. So they're just reusing the same body shape, throwing in a 24 fret neck, and kind of shoving everything towards the neck pocket to compensate. So this is not necessarily the same. You can get a solid Stingray tone out of this, but this is not a slapper, whereas the single humbucker model, I have no problem slapping, and I just hit that with my arm. Weight-wise, these are both in the ballpark of one another, where the double humbucker model weighs 9.2 pounds on my scale and the single humbucker weighs 9 pounds. The balance is much worse on the double humbucker model because they're using a much longer neck and compensating for that neck by just pushing things up on the body, which doesn't help balance either. So there is much more neck dive on the double humbucker model versus the single humbucker model. Keep that in mind. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Be sure to like, subscribe, join our Discord, and leave a comment down below and let me know what you think about this Harley Benton MM-85A, sent to us from Bully the Kid, actually. So thank you, Bully, for sending this over. I really appreciate it. And as always, until we groove again.